Yeah, done know. Bless up, people. It is I and I, Blind Visionary, aka The Conduit, back with another blind review. Before I get into the review, like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. We're building this rotted brick by brick. Big up to the corner crew, you done know. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about the major label debut from Benny the Butcher. Everybody Can't Go. That's the title. And the term long awaited, highly anticipated is thrown around a lot to the point where it don't really hold no weight anymore. But yo, this was anticipated by anybody who is a quote unquote old head slash fan of hip hop in its purest, rawest, authentic form. I remember the first time I heard this brother and I was like, yo, this youth have something. And it was a pleasure because I'm not a hater. I like to actually see other people succeed. Like having people accomplish things brings me joy and also inspires me, and that's what it should do. And to kind of see just the whole journey of the Griselda man them on a whole, it's been very, very inspiring, and it gave a lot of us hope. And we've always wanted to see them win. Well, me anyway. I can only speak for myself. Because I actually knew that if they win, we all win. And by that, I mean what we rep, the sound we rep, the authenticity that we rep. Because for the longest, I would hear, that's not marketable anymore. Major's not gonna fuck with that anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Story after story after story. So when you have people like Benny who go against the grain without compromising who he is and get to where him get to this point, those people who say all the fucker them said before have to eat them words. Because point proven. Here the man is on Def Jam Records, dropping an album in 2024 that sounds like this. And I don't believe this will be possible without Snoop, so I want to take time out in the review to thank Snoop for always being an ally to this culture. Regardless of what people will say about you, because a lot of people from the realm I come from, all them give credits to Snoop for his doggy style. And I'm not even going to get into why these people are lunatics, but Snoop has always been a significant part of this culture, and Snoop has always had his ear to the street, and he's always been in the corner of the underdog, and he always give people a chance. I'm not a hating pussy. So in the Def Jam driver's seat, he did something major for somebody who deserves something major. And I want to say, well, big up for that from the bottom of my heart, as somebody who has been a fan of this for as long as Benny has been alive, without exaggeration. This means a lot to know that, okay, there can be a coexistence, Old heads and the youngins, everybody can go from that standpoint. And this is testament to that. And I wasn't worried about Benny as far as him being able to rap, because he has proven that over and over again, time and time again. Just check the man's catalog, right? My concern was the sonic palette. What was it going to be, and what was going to happen with sample clearance and all that shit? Unfortunately, two things happened. One, they kept it to two producers, which is Hit Boy and Alchemist. And these two have always known how to finesse the sample game. And even if they couldn't, obviously they had the machine to be able to spend some money and get these samples cleared. So what you have is Benny being Benny on a Def Jam album in 2024. I can't stop stressing that. Like, the music is irrelevant. That is the spotlight. That is the fact that, okay, if this album does well, it's going to kick down the door for a lot more shit to happen, and there's going to be a shift. And yeah, I was not disappointed. I wasn't blown away either, because I'm kind of jaded and I'm very, very familiar with Benny at this point. So it's not about how I feel about it, it's about how the person who is now going to actually start listening to Benny feels about it. And this is one hell of an introduction. This does its job and then some. It's accessible, but also people who have been longtime fans and on the journey like me can say, okay, we can listen to this and we can bump this and we can put it in his catalog as a solid addition to it. So you're looking at the same album, but under two different lights depending on the circumstances. You get what I'm saying? And from that standpoint and from that angle, this album did what it was supposed to do. And yeah, it's 12 tracks, and I don't have a problem with none of them. Well, except for probably the last song. And I don't hate it. It's just like, yeah. I mean, imagine even that though. We could have gotten an entire album like that. And y'all would have been so mad. I wouldn't have heard the end of it. So if you're like, oh, this is just the same old Benny from before, then good. Then damn good, because this is the same Benny from before that we all check for, with a nice little pushing machine behind him now. So we should all be happy now, shouldn't we? The features did their thing. The hooks were solid. There was no like over exaggerated trying to not be yourself and force it type shit. So yeah, this was hit out of the park in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to him saying dropping another album this year. And I hope there's actually, like, cause just for the most part, he was rapping on this album. And subject matter is at a very minimum. Basically like 2.5 songs basically. And what those 2.5 songs, good lord. Anyway, I'll get into that in the track listing, which is coming up right now. So yeah, at the part of the review where I break down the songs, song for song. And as I said, there are 12 songs. Production by Alchemist and Hit Boy on some if it ain't broke, don't fix it type shit. And right out the gate, you know how I feel about importance of intros. And you have Germany's Graduation on a nice pimped out Alchemist piano beat that sounds like him in him early 2000s bag, which is very, very appropriate to the kind of vibe that this whole thing gonna be coming with now. This song don't have no hook or nothing, it's just straight bars. But, you know, Benny's sword is as sharp as ever. And even though the subject matter is very familiar, you're not gonna hear nothing that make your head explode here. But what you're gonna hear is expertise as far as rhyme skill. And him being comfortable. And him, again, I'm not gonna stop stress this throughout this review. Him doing this shit on Def Jam. Like, yeah, this happened, people. So yeah, nice ass opening. And I think this opening even has the appeal to say, alright, people who wouldn't normally poke them head in and listen to see what's going on would say, hey, let me check this out. And this is a way to kind of reel them in. And then album sequences are very important. So putting the single Bron as a second song, which I believe has young head appeal. I mean, check a quick look review that I did for it last week. I kind of speak on it in depth. But yeah, this is a single. And it did what it's supposed to do as far as letting Benny know that, okay, he hasn't abandoned us, the fans. but he's trying to, venture to new horizons. And you can respect that when it's done properly. So yeah, big up to that. And then we have the second single, Big Dog featuring Lil Wayne. So again, strategically, it is reeling in the listener. And for example, the person will read the track listing and who probably don't really fuck with this, them say Lil Wayne's name. I'm sorry, let me go look and check this out. And yeah, this have a nice little bop to it. It actually sounds like some shit that a ratchet bitch both will come on and talk some shit, but you hear Benny come on and Wayne was just Wayne doing him thing, with them little dog entendres and whatnot. Not the best Wayne verse, but not the worst Wayne verse, but it did what it had to do, and big up little Wayne, you done know. So then we'll have Everybody Can't Go featuring Kyle Banks. And this is a very soulful, celebratory, reflective type song. With I'd say the hook here is the most commercial this shit will get. Like if you can tolerate this, and even then the beat's not commercial. The one's rapping his ass off. The subject matter is not commercial. It's just this is a commercial hook. So compared to what it could be, if this is what them going to say, all right, this is it, then we have won, people. Victoria. And yeah, title track, not a solid song. And again, these things have samples. Like I'm imagining a keyboard interpretation of some of these songs because labels just don't want to do this type of shit in the current day. So big up to Def Jam, big up to Hit Boy, and big up to Alchemist for holding it down for the culture sonically. I personally appreciate the hell out of that. So then we get to what is, in my opinion, the best song on this album, because I'm a sucker for dope stories, especially stories you can just picture in your head. And that's the case in the song Trust More Valuable Than Love. And it's not just one story, it's 3 stories. And the beat changes with each story. Nice grimy ass beat transition by Alchemist. All 3 beats are solid. So like the first verse is about a CO who, you always go in the game, you have to go in the game and you realize you can't outgame the game. The minute you think you're smarter than the game, that's when you're going to end up being salt. And that's what ended up happening to this lady CO. And yeah, trust more valuable than love. And the consequential shit, it didn't end well, let's just say that. So then you have the second verse, which is about 2 brothers, went different paths in life, but one ended up with this girl who eventually ended up with the brother at the same time, consciously knowing this, but still doing it anyway because certain harlots are just going to be certain harlots. But either way, it didn't end well. Let's just say that. And then you have the third verse, which is, I'm not really going to speak on that. I'll make y'all figure it out for yourself, but because of what is being talked about, I am not in a position to talk about that. That's none of my business. Let him tell you. That's all I'll say. So then we have track 6, Back Again, featuring Snoop Dogg. Thank you. And the other thing about Snoop? Snoop is in his position and Snoop never pull a Diddy. Where Snoop never forced himself all over the album. The man basically talk some shit at the end of the song and do part of the hook. And that's it. And for somebody who been in this game 30-something years to be that humble to say, yo, let young nephew do his thing. Let me just give him the keys, make him drive the car. That's very, very commendable. And man, Hit Boy wasn't in pocket on this shit. Like, I hate to say it because Alchemist is one of my favorite producers of all time, but I think for the most part, Hit Boy got him on this, which I didn't expect, but I kind of believe Alchemist did what he was supposed to do as far as his joints being the minimalistic joints to make Benny B front and center, spotlight on stage, all eyes on him type shit, because it's about what him have to say, and yeah, I think that strategy worked, and it is what it is. So we have track number 7, 1 Foot In, featuring Stove God Cooks. Now this was released quite some time ago. I don't know if it's a single or what, I just was putting it out to test the waters, but yeah, this is, again, you just listening to this and going, wow, this is on a major label. Wow, this is on a major label. This is rap, production, dope hooks, overall just quality product that we all been yearning for, have to kind of dig in the underground to find it, but now it's on a major label. And the only big feature on this really is, or actually only two really big features are Jadakiss and Lil Wayne. He gave other people, including a few obvious people, because again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So there is a Griselda posse cut, but shit. The man put Stove God Cooks on this album. He did not have to do that. And this is another person who, Stove God Cooks that is, by the way, who I'm feeling the same way about him that I felt about Benny when I first heard him. It was like, yeah, I hear the potential and I see the star power, no pun intended, come a blind, but you don't know. And yeah, Benny wasn't greedy. Benny brought him along for the ride, and yeah, very appropriate song. And the 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing is something that a lot of people can relate to. So yeah, I mean, this is street shit, and more street shit, but it's like, in the immortal words of Tyrese, what more do you want from me? Like shit, like I said, if the man does do a 360, you know that hate it. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. Lot of reoccurring themes in this album and talking about this album. But yeah, it kind of just hammers it home over and over again. And I kind of have to just speak on it, because it's obvious. So speaking of bringing people along, we have track 8, Buffalo Kitchen Club, with Armani Caesar on a sinister, minimal, but in-your-face Alchemist beat, where them just kind of bouncing type vibes, a slower type tempo. But yeah, it does its thing. And Armani Caesar, she's another one where she came out of nowhere, where she had a lot of the characteristics that a lot of these mainstream female MCs have, but she was on some grimy ass production, and she can actually rap and she write her own shit, and according to a lot of people, she's nice on the eyes. So I was like, yeah, I was rooting for her too. Liz 1, Liz 2, 2 solid projects. Looking forward to hearing more from her, and she did her thing. She did the hook on this song. So it's a hook at the beginning, the 2 verses, hook at the end, song done. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Straight to the point. That's how it should be sometimes. So yeah, not a solid song. Like I said, there is no songs on this that I don't like, except for the last song at the end, which was kind of smart, because he probably, could telegraph that. And if you listen to it, you can just cut the song off after track 11, and that's it, problem solved. Everybody wins. See, everybody can go. So yeah. So track 9, Pillow Talk and Slander, featuring Jadakiss and Babyface Ray. Now, when this come on, the quote-unquote purists who want the man to sound a particular way for the rest of their career, gonna start hate on this. Being closed-minded about it, to say, okay, this should actually work. What if this is a song that brings a lot of people in to the world of Benny. Again, them don't understand the strategy of providing accessibility and actually trying to gain the broadest audience you can while maintaining the integrity. This song does not sound forced. This does not sound like a gimmick or a cash grab to appeal to the quote unquote kids. And there's a lot more familiarity of the Benny that everybody respects than there aren't. Jadakiss did his thing. And Babyface Ray, who I never hear about before this, did have a decent verse. It have a solid hook. So yeah, I can't be mad at this song. A lot of people seem to be hating on it though, because I always, like for the last couple of days, everybody's like, yeah, it's an album that is 10 for 2. And mine is 11 for 1. Or 11 and a half. Because I still listen to the song. It's just like, I don't know if I'd revisit it too much. But then we get to what I call, I wish I had more of this shit on here type song. How to Rap. Second favorite song on the album. Beat is dope. Hit Boy in him bag once again. And yeah, the song is self-explanatory. It's a tutorial how to rap. Giving some good logistic advice. Giving some good strategic advice. Giving some good creative advice. And yeah, this album been firing on all cylinders. And the whole time when I was listening to it the first time, there was a sigh of relief going, thank God. Thank God they didn't fumble this. Because like I don't think people realize how much a train wreck this could have been. But yeah, not a solid song, and like I hope there's more songs like this and Trust More Valuable Than Love in upcoming projects. Because man, this dude can paint some pictures with this shit. Like him on Nas level with that shit. Anyway. So then we get to Griselda Express. As you hear the name, you're going to know it says a posse cut, which it is. Featuring Conway, Westside Gun, and him bring Rick Hyde, which fit in appropriately because Westside Gun only do the hook. And besides Rick Hyde kind of being, you know, the new seasoning in the pot, this is familiar Griselda stuff. Like if you know, then you know you've heard this type of shit 1,000,001 times, but we all love it, and I am waiting on WWCD 2. Like yeah, like these three, Conway, Westside, and Benny just have like major serious chemistry. And that shit is very, very appreciated. And then we get to the last song, Big Timers, where it's like, yeah, I kind of felt like this was like, yeah, I have to meet up quota. The label want me to do a song like this, so let me just do it. And yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Not like him not rapping. Not like the hook don't dope. It's just like, yeah, it's just there. It's a song that ends album and you can just don't listen to it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to complain about it. And a lot of people actually saying because of these two songs, right, that have this sound, it takes away from the rest of the album. It's like, no, you have 10 other songs. Just listen to that shit. So yeah, that's it. Everybody Can't Go by Benny the Butcher. Mission accomplished. Well, let's see what these numbers gonna be. I hope Def Jam really, really push and promote the hell out of this shit shamelessly, because it deserves to do some serious numbers. I deserve to hear say the man is on some decent sized tours, headlining him own tour after a while. And yeah, this in the grand scheme of things could be up for a Grammy later on at the end of this year. We shall see. Anyway, big up Benny the Butcher, big up Snoop Dogg, most importantly, big up hip hop. You done know. This has been another Blind Review. I have spoken. Where the fuck is the phone?